Hey, so recently a friend asked me if I thought that anti-Semitism was a mental illness. And of course I said, yes, yeah, of course it is. I think that's pretty obvious. But I thought about it a little more deeply. And you know what? I've come to the conclusion that anti-Semitism can be an addiction. It can be an actual addiction, just like alcohol or drugs or gambling. And an addiction is, as you know, it's an out-of-control bad habit that will lead to negative consequences. So, if you drink, that's not a problem. But if you drink to the point that your wife leaves you, you lose your job, your family is pulling away from you, well, now you're an addict. You're an alcoholic. And this is what's happening to Jew haters, and I'm witnessing this, and it's very interesting to watch. You know, these people, not just online, on social media, but you know, they're walking down the streets screaming about the Jews, and they can't stop. It's got a hold on them, and they're losing jobs. They're being thrown out of school. Sometimes they're being thrown out of the country. They're losing friends. They're losing family, but they can't stop. I'm thinking of Susan Sarandon. You know, here's this elderly has-been movie star, but who still was somewhat relevant. And she's taken on Jew hate. She's become a rabid anti-Semite. And she's everywhere she goes, she's talking about the Jews and Israel, and it's all nonsense. And you know, even though she wasn't really doing much lately, she was been cut off by her team, her agent, her manager. You know, so I don't know what she's doing. You know, maybe she's on a boat with Greta Thunberg. I have no idea. But she's become a clown. She's become a buffoon, and that can't be good. And Candace Owen. Candace Owen is such a rabid Jew hater now. If you watch her, and I don't watch her anymore, but you know, I've seen her in the past. She looks like she's jonesing. She looks like she's having withdrawals. You know, it's like if she doesn't get that latest Jew hate conspiracy theory off of her chest and past her lips, she's going to have a seizure. That's how she looks. And, you know, it's pretty sad. She was one of the leading voices in conservative media. She had the respect of millions. She had the president's ear. She had the ear of you know, many prominent people, many elected officials. She testified before Congress. And now she sits in her basement screaming about the Jews and, you know, all kinds of medieval, you know, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. And she's not going to starve. You know, she's done very well in life and she married well. But my understanding is she's had family members pull away from her. She's lost millions of followers. She's gotten millions more. But it's like the alcoholic who says, you know, yeah, my wife left me, my kids don't talk to me anymore, I lost my job, but I got all these new friends at the bar. And that's Candace Owen. You know, she's got all kinds of new friends at the bar. All of her new friends, all of her new followers are just like her. These are just rabid Jew haters. Tucker Carlson, the same thing. Here's a guy who was the most prominent, most important journalist on the planet. He could interview anybody he wanted, and he could get 80 million views. I mean, you know, there was just no stopping him. And I was a big fan. I paid for a subscription to his service, which I don't anymore. And he, you know, he gives a platform on his show to these drooling Jew haters, and so he's lost relevance. He's just not respected the way he used to be, and he's not going to starve. But you know, hey, could you imagine being one of his kids? And you used to be so proud of your dad, and now your dad's a buffoon. You know, no amount of money can make up for that. You know, to have to be ashamed of your own father or your own husband or wife. You know, this is what Jew hate does. It's really an addiction. And, you know, what can we do about this? You know, you can't talk an anti-Semite out of being an anti-Semite. You can't debate with them. That's not going to help. That will never work. Ben Shapiro does that, and Dennis Prager does that. You know, they debate with anti-Semites as if they might have an impact. They will never have an impact. These people cannot be talked out of their Jew hate addiction. The best you can do, as with alcoholics or heroin addicts, is you let them hit rock bottom. Let them hit rock bottom, and you know, maybe they'll pick their own selves up off the sidewalk, dust themselves off, and you know, come to a new conclusion that you know, that they have to change their lifestyle. I think that's really the best we can do.